Hey everybody, and welcome to Sell Me a Movie, a sub playlist here on the Cavalier Studios YouTube channel, where what we do is we go over movies that are already out in theaters, have been in the theaters for a while, streaming, or even ones that are already on 4K and Blu-ray. As you will see, we have done movie reviews that are different types of decades as well, whether if it's 60s, 70s, or made in today's, and especially in the 90s, since that's kind of the decade I grew up in. But today we will be discussing a movie that's being destroyed in the box office, unfortunately, and that movie is Argylle. So before we actually get into that, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys either disagree with me with, what you guys feel about the movie itself. So without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss the movie Argylle.
Hello there, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and children.
Now, like I said, this film is being absolutely destroyed in the box office, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because it's not that bad of a movie. Now, if you are a fan of Matthew Vaughn, who does do films such as, of course, X-Men First Class, or even the Kingsman series, those are his movies. Now, this film was written by Jason Fuchs, Fuchs. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, but some of the films that he's done before in the past is he's done the story for Wonder Woman, the biggest DC film, I believe, or one of the biggest DC films from the DCEU that we know, starring Gal Gadot. He has done Pan, which of course shows Hugh Jackman as pirate Captain Hook. Then you do have Ice Age Continental Drift, and of course this one, Argylle. It does star Henry Cavill as Argylle, Bryce Dallas Howard as Ellie, Sam Rockwell as Aiden. You do have Bryan Cranston as Director Ritter, Dua Lipa as Lagrange. Some of the other known actors in here is Richard E. Grant, who plays Director Fowl, John Cena, who plays Wyatt. So those are some of the, of course, heavy hitter actors in here. Of course, you do have Samuel L. Jackson in this film too. And in all honesty, this does feel like it could fit in to the Kingsman universe. That's the whole thing that Matthew Vaughn has done before in the past with his kind of like espionage spies movies, is it feels very much like that, where the fighting sequences are choreographed in a way where it's very, very entertaining. Some of which it's kind of like a dance in a way, a dance fight, which is, I mean, by all means, we do enjoy movies like that. I mean, you can go with full spy, definitely fighting like John Wick style, or even 007. This has the fighting etiquette to it, but at the same time adds a flow with the music that Matthew Vaughn uses in the film to make it feel more of a dance too, which is fantastic and great. Now, I do understand some of the negativity that this film has gotten in the past as far as some of the sequences, as far as CGI goes. You can absolutely 100% tell that they are CGI. I do understand that there are some films out there where it's like, oh yeah, that's passable CGI, no big deal. This one, unfortunately, is pretty bad when it comes to CGI in some sequences, where it doesn't really take you out of the film, but it makes it very less believable, if that makes sense. There is actually a sequence in there, and kind of four of them, where you do get a camera angle of above and below of the actors and actresses' faces. You will understand a little bit more if you watch the film, but that kind of was used a little too much. The first time it was used, it was kind of humorous, but after it kept on doing it about 4 times, and it kind of was like, okay, let's just move on from this camera angle. Honestly, when this film needed to be cheesy, it was cheesy, and it does a beautiful job with it, and it was done purposely. I don't quite like films where the sequences or camera angles they use is cheesy and it's meant in a serious tone, or not meant to be cheesy. But so that's kind of where this film is different, though, where those sequences were not supposed to be in that manner. This film uses it to its advantage, and it works great. It works perfect. The action sequences, like I said, keeps you intact with the film. And the one thing with the story, though, it does keep you guessing the whole entire way, where you don't know what's true and what's a lie. Obviously, this film is about Ellie Conway, who is a writer who does do the kind of like James Bond in a way, who writes books based on a character named Argylle, who does do a lot of espionage and spy techniques and kind of spy etiquette, really. So like I said, it's very 007 in a way, but you follow, of course, Ellie Conway, who writes these stories, and for some reason they become reality, where what she writes is based on true events that she has no idea that she's writing about. Now, there is more to that story that was a twist that I wasn't quite expecting at first, but the more I watched the film, the more I understood it a little bit more, and it made more sense. Of course, what ends up happening is Ellie does get entangled with Sam Rockwell's character, Aiden, who kind of says, hey, look, I'm a spy. What you're doing, what you're writing is actually based on true facts. So let's go on a journey. Let's see what's happening. Let's see why this is happening. And between this partnership, let's figure out where this story progresses. Because we do see Ellie kind of in a writer's funk, in a way, a writer's block, where she cannot continue book 5 of her Argylle series, and this kind of helps her create a little bit more mystery, a little bit more ideas. Now, during the progression of the film, you do see Ellie kind of see Sam Rockwell's character Aiden become more of Henry Cavill, the fictional Argylle. So where you see Sam Rockwell fighting in Ellie's perspective, she's actually seeing Argylle, which again, it kind of puts you in the writer or Bryce Dallas Howard's character, Ellie's mindset a little bit more, which I absolutely loved and enjoy. There are sequences where you do see kind of like if you're the eyes and the eyes close, so you kind of see the eyelashes when the eyes close and when the eyes open. So you do get that perspective, a first person perspective of what she's seeing, what she's experiencing throughout the film, which is nice. But like I said, overall, the film was fun and enjoying. There are twists and turns in it. There's one specific twist that I honestly think that they could have used without. It's very Winter Soldier aesthetic, or very Winter Soldier-like, where honestly there's no explanation of why this is happening, but it just does. So we do understand at some point something happens to Ellie Conway in the past, which, you know, I'm trying to tread lightly as far as spoilers go, but something does happen to her in the past where there's a music box and that just messes with her mind. But jump back to close to the end of the film, like I said, it does kind of give more of a Winter Soldier vibe to it, and you don't understand why, because it was never hinted at or used before in the past. So there are sequences like that where I will say that I do understand where the critics are coming from, where people are coming from. But overall, though, this film was a very enjoyable film. It does play along the sides of spy espionage mixed with a love story, as well as very chick flick in a way. So to just keep that in mind. The cinematography was great, especially when it means that a lot of colors were used. There is a specific scene that is used in the trailer that I absolutely loved. I absolutely enjoyed. It was probably the most fun throughout the whole film of that specific maybe 5-10 minute sequence. There's another scene that's very reminiscent of Kingsman, but more of a PG-13. If you guys have seen that film, I'm talking about the church sequence, but in this, of course, Ellie does a little bit with ice skating mixed with oil, and I mean petroleum oil. That'll make more sense once you guys actually see the film, but that's kind of what it reminded me of. But like I said, overall, the film I absolutely enjoyed. Don't know why it's getting destroyed in the box office, but if you guys have seen it, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought. If I'm wrong, if you guys agree, would love to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and follow us on all social platforms. And we'll see you next time for the next review.